Hi everybody, Steve Griffiths here, developer of the MTPredictor software program. In today's video I'd like to look at how to trade US stocks. In fact, not any just US stocks, but any world stock in general. The stock I want to look at in particular is ADSK. Where is it? ADSK, because it's a good example of how to use our large degree trend. And I particularly want to look at this TS4 sell here that unfolded on the 25th of April. Now, so what do we need to do first? Well, with any stock, the best thing to do is go to the main index to then gauge what the large degree trend is on the main index to set the market context. In other words, you don't want to be trading against the index. So as the ADSK is part of the NASDAQ 100, let's go out and have a look at the NASDAQ 100 index itself. Now with our DPs, we tend to place these on prior pivot highs and lows, and they give you support or resistance areas in advance. So before the market broke to new highs up here at the end of April, we'd have gone back to our prior pivot high, which was here at the beginning of March. Right mouse click, place that DP level on. Remember, that would have been on the chart in advance. So as the NASDAQ rallied up into this level, which was the 25th of April there, then it actually made the high one day later on the 28th, you'd have known that the NASDAQ itself was actually at larger degree resistance, in other words at DP resistance. The NASDAQ's gone down since, rallied back up, and is actually making a corrective high just below this previous high since we actually declined down. But can you see that how the NASDAQ on the 25th of April here was actually at DP resistance? Can you see that? And in fact, actually, if I clear that and I go out to our weekly time frame and I actually zoom in a bit, exactly the same procedure. We go back to the previous high, which was here, right mouse click, place the DP on, and on the week of the 24th of April, this bar here, we're actually coming up into DP resistance and actually made an automatic DP sell there. So if I will leave that weekly DP on and come down to our daily chart, you can see there it is. Oops, so I zoom out. There's our weekly resistance area. So the NASDAQ itself was in weekly or higher time frame resistance in around the 25th of April. Let's now go down to the individual stock that I was looking at, ADSK, and we do exactly the same procedure. So here we go out to the weekly chart to see what the weekly time frame is, or the weekly trend is. Exactly the same as we did before. We go out to the prior pivot, which was here, right mouse click, place a DP on, and can you see how we're going up into this high here, which actually was a bit earlier, 27th of February, we actually had an automatic DP sell as well. So that gave you added confidence that the weekly chart on this individual stock was at resistance and then coming down. Where is it coming down to? Well, we go off to the prior pivot low here, right mouse click, place DP support on, and as you can see, we haven't quite reached it yet. That's the area of weekly DP support on the chart in advance. Let's now go down to the daily chart, and I want to show you why I thought this was a very interesting stock to look at. The reason being is because you can see we're at weekly resistance there. There's the weekly DP resistance nailing the high absolutely perfectly back on the 28th of February. Therefore, the large degree trend on this individual stock would have been down into this decision point weekly support, which we haven't reached yet. Therefore, you'd be avoiding these buy setups. So can you see now how our DPs override our STF color indicator, because our DPs are leading, therefore they give a better trend direction as we teach in our training webinars. So the large degree trend was down, hence the avoiding the buys and taking sells. So what sparked my interest was this TS4 sell setup that came in here. Why? Because it actually came in on the 25th of April. Can you see that? Now, why I found that very interesting is because we had an individual stock that was in a weekly downtrend. We had a daily sell coming in on exactly the same day, which was 25th of April, that we had our high on the main index. Do you remember, if I go back to the index, here was our high coming in on the 25th and 28th. So on the 25th there, that was then at weekly resistance. So when I come down to the individual stock, where is it? There. Missed let's get the individual stock there. When the individual sell came in on the 25th, which was that day there, the 25th of April, that was sparked my interest because it was on the same day as we had resistance on our NASDAQ index, as well as the individual stock being in a downtrend. Let's place the analysis on here now. We place the analysis. You can see the market has now gone down nicely to reach its first initial target, where a nice 5-hour profit would have been available. Remember, we use correct position sizing to keep our initial risk small under control. This is easily changed via your MTPredictor preferences. If you go to preferences, you have an account information down here where you can change your account balance as well, and also your risk profiles for your different assets as well. So it's very easy to change. But the reason I also put on this weekly DP support area was if you were more aggressive or wanted to take a longer term play on this particular stock, rather than looking to come out at the first minor daily target, which is down here for a nice 5-hour profit, you could grab and drag our risk reward tool and bring it down to your weekly support and say, well, actually, because the weekly trend is down at the moment and our higher time frame weekly support is not anticipated until you hit this area, you could actually try to look for a slightly larger profit. And as you can see down in this level, the profit on this particular short sale would be nearer 9.5R, or just over 9 times greater than the initial risk. So hopefully this has been a good video to show you how best to trade individual stocks by first looking at how they fall in the direction of their index, in this particular example the NASDAQ index, and then also looking to see how individual daily setups fall in the direction of the larger trend on the individual stock, which in this case is looking at your weekly DP levels as well. So I thought this was a good example to show how to use MTPredictor on trading daily stocks, in this particular example a US stock on the NASDAQ 100.